What do you mean he drained the life out of you? Okay. Okay. Oh. Oh. I think he left a scar in her head, apparently. Right. These toxic relationships with narcissistic people will drain you. They will change you, y'all. And of course, if you're new here, I'm actually a diagnosed narcissist. When you're in a toxic relationship, you lose a lot. You sacrifice a lot. And one of those things is going to be physical, y'all. You will lose your physicality. You will lose your physical looks, gain weight, lose weight, whatever the case may be. These toxic relationships can actually make you physically sick. They absolutely can. Emotional abuse has physical side effects. Sometimes your hair will fall out. Sometimes you can't eat or can't sleep, so you start to lose weight. Your eyes will look more sunken. It's the cost of being in a toxic relationship dynamic. When you get out of those relationships, when you set yourself free, you do give yourself the opportunity to heal at least, right?
Hey, beautiful souls, welcome back to the Healing Empath. I am a healing empath and I'm your healing empath. I kind of like that. It's kind of funny. Like, I'm your healing empath, I am a healing empath. But yes, for those of you that are just tuning in, I just want to take a moment just to say thank you for tuning in for the first time. And if you have a chance, just go in and look at or listen to my other content. This is a faceless YouTube content that I'm doing. In the future, I do plan on not being faceless all the time, but for now, I'm going to remain faceless. The message is coming from the messages that I give out is coming from the things that I've experienced, and I'm going through my own personal spiritual journey, and God has put in my heart to speak on the things that I've experienced and the things that I'm learning as I'm coming out of being a unhealed or unhealthy empath. And I was both. If you're not familiar with the term, it's a terminology that I created and I speak on it in my older videos. So if you're not even sure you're an empath, you can go check out some of my older videos, and that will give you the insight that you need. Some of this content that I speak about is a little bit triggering for those because I kind of want to I want to create a space where we are looking internally versus looking outwardly. Now, looking outwardly is important, but we have to understand and get to the root of some of the things that we go through as empaths. And the reason why I labeled empaths as unhealthy and unhealed versus just in total being an empath, because there are different types of empaths, and you can absolutely grow up from a child to an adult and be a really healthy empath. Okay, an empath that never needed to heal because you were given the space and the tools to utilize your empathic side correctly. But for a lot of us, we have experienced being an unhealed empath through either grief or losing someone, losing something that was dear and meaningful to us, or we can have experienced trauma or abuse in our family dynamics. So I'm speaking from that term because I grew up in the where there was toxic energy, abusive energy, and I'm speaking from those points, and I have done the work to learn other points of being an empath. So in the future, we'll talk about the dark empath and all different types of empaths. Okay, but for now, uh, we're going to keep it how I've been expressing myself here. So hopefully nobody is triggered, but this is a healing space, so it's okay to be triggered. It's okay. I had to be triggered in order to start taking accountability for my own process of healing. And then if you hear any noise, I am uh, the background noise, please forgive me for that. If the music is a little too loud, I'm going to be mindful to make sure it's not. Please forgive me for that as well. Give me some grace. And yeah, so let's get into today's topic. And before we get into the topic, please hit that subscribe button. And if you like the video, like it and leave a comment or turn on your notifications so you can catch my next videos. Okay, so today's topic is going to be about empaths and how we are allergic to people who lack integrity. And yeah, that's just the topic. We're allergic. We're allergic to the bullshit. If you know, for lack of a better word, we are allergic to the bullshit. And it's been something that I believe that empaths have felt confused about and not really understanding why we are not able to align with certain individuals in life and why they always end up being betraying it, and it always stems from somewhere. But naturally, we're allergic to it, and I'm going to get into that why. Okay, so us as empaths, we don't just feel energy emotionally, right? It also shows up spiritually, mentally, and also physically. And we're going to mainly talk about that. So, if you've ever experienced, or you may have noticed, right, in the past or even in your present moment, that when you're around certain individuals, that your body starts doing some changes, right? Sometimes people can experience skin breakouts, right? They start breaking out, or their hair just starts looking dull, or it starts thinning, or your weight shifts, right? You can go from really in a really nice shape to where you become overweight, or you can go from having healthy looking weight on you to looking very slim, very I would say just you're not looking as abundant as you used to look, right? So you can go from either having a normal healthy weight to really becoming really skinny to or really spiking where you become overweight. Okay, and how about your mental health, right? Your anxiety starts spiking, and you know everything is making you jittery, everything makes you feel nervous, and then in the midst of all this, your confidence can slowly disappear, so that glow can slowly disappear, right? But did you notice that when they leave, or if you had to leave, that your life starts glowing up again, or your physical body starts glowing up? So basically what I'm saying is you lose your glow when you're around people that aren't for you. Okay, and that's really not a coincidence. It happens more than ever. If you go on TikTok, there was this trend about and you know what, I'm going to insert a video. I'm definitely going to insert a video. If I'm saying this and you already see the video, you know, that's, I already inserted it. But my plan is to insert a video of this, because there was a trend on TikTok a while back where women, and even some men, but it was more women, showing their physical look before they got into a relationship that was unhealthy, and then how they looked after the relationship, or during the relationship, right? Which makes us energetically allergic to people who lack moral character and integrity. So this is why you could experience or have experienced in your past the things I've said. Okay? So, what does integrity actually mean? Integrity, it means honesty. Honesty, being truthful, being forthcoming, being intentional, speaking your truth, right? Not lying, not causing confusion, not hiding, but honesty, whether that's in verbal communication or physical communication. Honesty is important. Okay? That's what makes you have integrity, or makes someone have integrity. Honesty. And then the next one is accountability. Accountability makes you have integrity because you're accountable for your own personal actions. A lot of us, even us empaths, take a while before we recognize that we need to take our own accountability. Okay, it's not enough to always be the victim. It's not enough to always say, whoa, it's me, after someone has shown us the truth about them. So we have to start taking accountability on the parts that we don't own. Okay? So accountability is not just for the person that's oppressing you, it's also for yourself. And the next one, what makes you have integrity is emotional responsibility. Okay. Your emotional responsibility and emotional maturity makes you have integrity. So if you are maybe feeling away, something small, you could be feeling away about something someone said, right? So emotionally, you're going to react to whatever it is in your way of expression, right? But what if the situation may, from everyone else's eyes, may not be as big as yours? So instead of you speaking about it, right, or speaking to someone about it and about how you feel, you kind of shift that responsibility onto someone else. You kind of don't want to take accountability for whatever it is that you're feeling. So you avoid you avoid the responsibility of expressing that emotional your emotional that those emotions, right? You neglect it. Okay, you respond irresponsibly. I mean, not irresponsibly, immaturely you respond. Okay, you may go cold turkey or create silence, right? Not you, but the person, right? So the emotional responsibility or maturity, there is none, right? It's the lack of responsible um, emotional awareness. So your lack of responsibility. So you don't have the reason to think and say, well, instead of me doing this or reacting this way, let me see if this person meant it this way, or let me see really what's the truth of the situation. You know, I'm not going to just run off with my own thought, right? I'm going to be responsible for my own emotions, and I'm going to clear the air while taking accountability and then being honest. And then we have what also creates integrity is actions matching your words. So saying what you mean and meaning what you say, not saying something and then not meaning it, because those don't align, right? So, like when someone has integrity, their words and actions actually match, they align, they tell the truth, they take accountability, they don't avoid, they don't silence you, they don't manipulate you, or they don't try to gaslight you to avoid the responsibility of the truth of their action, right? They don't, again, they don't silence you, they don't flip it on you and say, well, you did this, or try to say, well, no, you're just tripping, that's not really how it is. You know what I mean? It's funny when I say that because I know you're not responding, but maybe you are responding. Maybe you're saying, yes, yes, I know what you mean. Okay. So when someone lacks integrity, their energy is confusing and their energy is chaotic. It is sporadic. It's not consistent. They tend to lie. They project and deflect. They manipulate. And of course, I'm going to say confusion. They create it. That's what they're very good at. And empaths are extremely sensitive. So that creates what? A lack of alignment, a lack of matching. So it's a mismatch. The relationship doesn't align. That right there can tell you this is not aligning. This has nothing to do with just love. It has nothing to do with just friends. It has nothing to do with just family. It's collective. It could be a job, anything. So it just does not align. It might even be with your animals, right? There's no match because they don't have the tools to be honest. They don't have the tools or want to have the tools to not be manipulative, right? And why we as empaths feel it so deeply, right, is because empaths have a high sensitivity to energy. They read energy, but they also absorb emotional environments. They also can absorb it, and they understand, they know how to dissect the truth. They process it differently than someone that isn't an empath because they feel everything. So they process truth versus lies, versus deception. So that's the reason why that happens, okay? Now, because empaths read energy faster than logic, it creates something chemically within the body. because it's energetically. So even when like someone could be saying all the right words, they could be saying anything that makes sense to the average person. It can sound so good, but an empath can feel when it is off. They just know something ain't right. Okay? And let's be clear, a healthy empath, someone that never had to heal from the dark side of being an empath or the weaker side of an empath, they will be able to detect it a lot quicker, a lot faster, a lot stronger than someone that is unhealed or unhealthy like me, right? Because I'm striving to be in that healed empath state. So somebody that's healthy empath, they already know how to create the boundaries. They already know the things that they need to do. They were raised to utilize those tools correctly. But somebody that has not used the tools, and we feel sorry for everyone, and we can see and feel this person's hurting, we want to help, we can gaslight our own self. And even if we feel that those something's off, we kind of make excuses for the person and maybe think, well, maybe I'm overthinking it. That's how we end up thinking. When a person lacks integrity, their energy doesn't align with their words. It just does not, no matter what they do or say. It's what we believe is unhealthy empaths that maybe we're tripping, right? But that's not the reality. So this creates a constant emotional tension around them. So emotionally, that's the thing that we can feel that tension around them, even when everything seems to be good. And our nervous system is forced to process that tension all the time. So now we process it. Now we know it. And then now that we process it, this is how it physically affects our bodies, right? So, which is the nervous system. That's the key right there. The nervous system responds in a way that attacks the body, which is chronic stress. So that's your cortisol imbalance. And that is emotional suppression. So you're unable to express, or you just feel energetically exhausted. You're not feeling tired physically. You don't feel like, you physically can't function. It's energetically, which can feel mentally and physically exhausting, which is a double whammy. That's why energy is highly important. You have to always be protecting your energy and revving up your energy. You have to always keep your energy up and going. That's why there's fuel eating foods versus foods that make you weak, tired, and lethargic, right? The fuel eating foods are the dark green vegetables, the fruits, right? Some herbs, right? Those are the fueling. So it's the same thing for the energy, for our energy, right? If we're not eating right, on top of dealing with chronic stress, on top of dealing with cortisol imbalance, on top of dealing with emotional suppression, what do you think happens to the energy? You're exhausted mentally and physically. So what do you want to do? A quick fix. You want to feel better. You eat some chocolate. You get happy for a moment, but then you have a crash. Then you go get a burger. Then you go get cheese. Then you go get all the things that just aren't in alignment with keeping you from stress, from cortisol imbalance, and from emotional suppression. So on top of the people that you're allergic to, you're not even eating right, which is causing a double whammy on you. If that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. So when an empath stays around someone who lacks this integrity, what's going to happen if you stay around anything? You're going to go into what? Survival mode, right? You start questioning yourself. Like what I said earlier, oh, maybe I'm just overthinking. Maybe I'm just tripping. You start suppressing your intuition. You're getting the dreams, you're getting the insight, you're getting the facts. But because they're not physical or outright right in your face, you start suppressing your intuition, or someone gaslights you to do so. Oh, you're always this, you're always that. So you start questioning your own abilities. And then what? You start carrying emotional weight that does not belong to you. It doesn't belong to you, but you're carrying it. And then in turn, it's a pattern. Your body eventually speaks to you. Your body is speaking. So you might experience that sudden weight gain again, or weight loss, that skin breakout, those pimples or dark spots, hair thinning, or just at a plateau, not growing, not shining. It doesn't necessarily have to be thin or fall out, but it could definitely not shine. It could definitely be dull. That chronic fatigue that people get, where they're just chronically fatigued, lethargic almost, or anxiety, depression. You don't even know why you're depressed, why you're so nervous and jittery, why you're paranoid. And then you're not able to complete the things that you started. You feel a lack, or you lose your confidence. And then you start dealing with hormonal imbalance. And I don't want to go into the list of things that happen to you when you have a hormonal imbalance and what they're called. But look at some of the things that hormonal imbalance is called. Look at some of those things. When people have hormonal imbalance, what are some of the things that they suffer from, and what are they called? So a lot of people are suffering from health issues, hormonal imbalance, skin issues, nail issues, all the things, and you don't correlate it to the people that you are connected to, whether that's your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, your cousin, your grandma, your grandfather, your uncles, your aunts, your friends. It doesn't matter. These people are not exempt because they're related to you. If anything, it's even worse because they know you. So it's not that your body doesn't want you to be beautiful and that your body is betraying you. It's just responding to the people in the environment that isn't safe for your spirit. Before I knew the dreams, before all the things, my glow started dimming once I knew about my ex-husband's lack of integrity. The body starts holding emotional weight. And I'm trying to, as you see, I'm a talker, right? So I'm trying to dissect and help and assist when my cup is fully empty. The cup that I never got filled from when I was a child. So I did mention about the TikTok video. You know what? I may just insert it here if you haven't seen it, and it's inserted here. Just please be mindful with me, guys. This is more like we're having, just pretend we're talking together. This is not all about perfection. I know sometimes, I know for me anyway, as an empath, I want things to be perfected. This is why some things I didn't finish writing. I'm a writer. I love to write. Not just, I don't love to just talk about, things that are the reality of things or self-healing. I also love fiction and I love learning. So I love fiction. I've written so many books, but have not finished them. So this is why I'm coming here, and I'm starting it, why I started this channel, because it's something that I'm passionate about. And I know that God spoke to me in my spirit to do this. But I do plan on in the future, completing these fiction books that I want to complete. But it's always to do with something that you're going to learn from it, or something that is eye-opening. Along with, I also I started an ebook that is about family and the toxic family structure and how to overcome it. So these are the things, but again, I have to heal and come to this place of building up my confidence and being consistent so I can complete these things. And that sometimes you got to isolate yourself. You cannot be around everybody. You can't be around everybody because they have these negative mindsets, and they'll pour into you things that will make you not want to complete whatever it is you have going on. That's probably also something I should have added in my notes. When you're not completing things, when you're not succeeding as an unhealthy empath, look at your environment. Because we are different than the average person. I explained that in another video where I talked about how being allergic to other, to other people, that can rub off in your finances and your career path. Absolutely, because we feel everything. Empaths need to function when they feel good. They don't have to always be in 100% spirit, but they cannot be overwhelmed or stressed. And unhealthy empath cannot function when they are unhealthy, when they are in a state of stress. So with the TikTok thread that I'm going to insert wherever I insert it, right? Those women, they're not just aging or going through some life changes. These women were literally emotionally and energetically drained by someone who lacked moral character and integrity. And remember, it does not have to be just a love partner. So now moving along, but when I do insert that video, guys, if you resonate with it, or you want to communicate on that, or continue the conversation on before and after pics of getting in a relationship, you can drop it in the comments and let me know. Or if you want to share your experience on that, if you have any. Hopefully not, but even if you've seen someone that went through that, please do share. Please do share your thoughts on it. Okay, so moving along, where an unhealed empath struggles the most is we lack boundaries. We tend to overgive, the self-doubts and self-abandonment. And then one of the big ones, we try to fix others. Okay? An unhealed empath or unhealthy empath, we're especially vulnerable to this because we tend to overextend ourselves. And I guess that's a nice statement for saying people pleasing, right? We want to understand, or at least we try to understand everyone. And we give so much benefit of the doubt. We look at your potential versus what it is, and we ignore the red flags. And instead of us setting the boundary, we tend to internalize the damage. That's why some empaths, they can have a blackout moment where they're fine, but they're getting to that thin line, and you're push them, and next thing you know, they're blacking out, and they might put their hands on you, they might scream at you really loud, they may have an explosion, because it's like putting water into a balloon that only has a certain amount of capacity. That balloon is eventually going to pop. So we have to be mindful. Never think an empath is just weak and just so kind and so sweet and they're not going to do anything. No, that's not true. That's not true about an empath or a narcissist. In reality, and I'm going to break this down too in another video, but narcissists tend to wear a mask. Empaths do not really wear a mask. Empaths are wide open. So think of like the Operation game. Remember back in the days you played the Operation game and you look at him, he's wide open. You see his liver, you see his heart, you see all the things. That's an empath. A narcissist would be covered with skin. You can't see anything, if that makes sense. Maybe it doesn't, maybe it does. Potato, I don't know. Hopefully it makes sense though. So empaths, we walk around with everything open. Narcissists, closed. So narcissist, mask. Bully, I don't care. F you all. I don't have feelings. I don't have anything. I'm not laughing. I don't care about you. I'm going to make you cry. I'm going to take. No, I'm sorry, that's a narcissist. Empaths, I love you. I care about you. Don't you see? I care about you. I'm here for you. I'm always here. I listen. I see the potential. Your greatness, your love. You're all the things that we want to be told. Right? We're open. A narcissist is closed. We don't seek. We don't like to be opportunistic people. Narcissists love to have opportunities where they can gain from someone else. That's another topic I don't want to veer off. But when it comes to us empaths being around people who lack integrity and moral character, there's a spark. Your spark is lost, or you start losing your spark because you're around people who pull out the worst of you. You're around people who make you frown instead of smile. You're around people who make you upset and angry instead of calm and peaceful. So that slowly starts to dim on your light. And then your joy fades, your creativity starts to dim, and then your confidence starts to disappear. And to someone that has an insecurity, say example like a narcissist, that gives them joy. As long as they're doing it, though. If somebody else is doing it, they may express it differently, but as long as they're doing it, as long as they're causing your joy to fade, which in turn leads us as unhealthy empaths to start becoming a smaller version of ourselves, just to keep the peace, just to keep, the communication, just to keep the love, what we think is love anyway. So if you're at this point of the video and you're like wondering, like, do we ever have like that turning point or that epiphany? That's what I've been trying to tell you, that we end up getting there if we learn accountability, right? Because empaths, they're not weak, or unhealed empaths may expose or express weakness in certain areas, but overall an empath isn't weak, right? An empath is known to be extremely powerful, but only once we start once we stop absorbing all the things that aren't ours, all the things, emotional burdens from other people that have nothing to do with us. We didn't know this person 20 years ago, but they bring their burdens into our life. When you meet them, we don't know them, but we have to deal with all the pain, and they just chuck in their luggage, like that Bag Lady song by Erykah Badu. They chuck in their luggage, and we're just holding on to all of everyone's baggage. Once we learn how to stop that and start trusting our intuition and knowing that if something feels off, it probably is, most likely it is, right? Stop explaining and overlooking the red flags, right? You don't need more evidence when your body's already reacting, when your mind is reacting. And I know that in society, we want to be loved. We're naturally social people, right? We're social, we're meant to socialize, but you have to start setting boundaries without feeling guilty. Protecting your peace is not selfish, it's self-abandonment when you don't protect your peace. So when you start rebuilding yourself, your self-love, your self-worth, your self-trust, you start listening to your intuition again, that's when your confidence starts to come back to you naturally. So, it's possible for an epiphany to happen, but you have to see that there's an issue. And before you can do that, you have to start detoxing and understanding that this person drains me, so I have to distance myself from them. Let me get some rest. Let me lay down. Let me relax. Let me just watch a show or listen to a self-healing YouTube video, right? Let me start journaling. You know what I started doing recently? I started coloring. I bought the grown-up coloring book from the store. I believe it was Dollar Tree. No, Five Below. I bought a journaling coloring book, and I started coloring. And those adult ones, they are meticulous. You don't just color like how it was when you was a kid. It's not like that. It's like lines are very small and everything is very detailed. So this is self-soothing. This is self-love and self-worth. You're reconnecting with your creativity. So coloring it's like a form of therapy. It's healing work. So coloring, what else? Taking a nice bath and just, putting some rose petals in your bathtub, or if you can't put rose petals, boil the roses and just take the water from the roses that you boiled and place it in your bathtub. Giving yourself a facial. Maybe you don't have the money to go get a facial, but find some cool ingredients that you can use and create your own facial lip scrub or whatever it is that you need to uplift that aura, right? Maybe you don't have money for your nails to get done. Maybe you go get some press-on nails, or maybe you just buy some clear nail polish, file your nails down, and paint them with some clear nail polish. Sometimes it's the simple things, right? That's therapy. And then reconnect with things that bring you joy. Maybe if money's a problem, or money's an issue right now, maybe money's tight, maybe you can't go and do one of your favorite things that you would love to do. Maybe you need to play it closer to home. You could put on one of your favorite shows that you watched when you was a child, that always makes you laugh, and listen to that. You can do so many things, like listen to music, listen to happy music, listen to your favorite songs from when you was younger. That brings that joy back into your life. You know? So when we remove people who lack integrity or moral character from our life, there's something that opens up into the heavens, right? Something incredible happens. You start seeing the light. Your nervous system, your nervous system starts to reset. But not just by you cutting them off, by you doing the work to replenish yourself, right? Your glow starts to return. Your glow may even get stronger or better, because now it's like you're glamoring yourself up to the next level. You're taking the time to understand who you are, and you're aligning with that. So you're able to have that cool and beautiful glow up. And your mind becomes clear. Your mind isn't clouded and fogged. And again, like I said, you start getting stronger once you get that comeback. It might be a better glow up than what it is when you were in this situation with these people. So no, empaths are not meant to carry everyone else's drama and everyone else's bullshit that they bring. They're not meant for that. Empaths are meant in total to feel deeply, right? To love deeply, and to be able to coexist in environments where there's truth and integrity, where that exists within your life. And you know this to be true, because most unhealthy, unhealed empaths experience nothing but drama in their relationships, or in their family dynamic, or in their friendship or work environment. That's why I put the breakdown of the career path for empaths in the family dynamic, and the struggles that we face in a relationship dynamic and a friendship dynamic, because those are factors that truly happen with empaths. Well, unhealthy empaths. Again, I'm not really talking about the empath that is literally going through life abundantly, because they're not overwhelmed by their choices and by self-abandonment. They have no self-abandonment issues. They are worthy of who they are. They're confident. A healthy empath is moving through life with their power. A empath that is not, if you identify with the empath that is not moving through life with power, and you're going through such things over and over again, people constantly betraying or disappointing you, you are unhealed, unhealthy empath. Yes, 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 absolutely. But because you're listening to this, and God aligned you with this video, hello, you're on your way to becoming a healed and healthy empath. You're on your way, because you came into this video. So remember, my loves, the moment that we start protecting our energy, we start healing ourselves, our entire life will change. It's not going to be overnight. So if you're in your 40s, if you're in your 30s, even late 20s, don't be mad at yourself. This is something that is not highly talked about. When we talk about empaths, we always talk about how sweet and kind we are, and how this, that, and the third, and people do us wrong. But there's a reason. There's a root to everything, and it's fixable. And being an empath does not mean getting dogged out by people. It does not mean that. Again, it means that we love deeply, we feel deeply, we give so much, but in an organized way, in a way that makes sense. Not in a just, I'm going to give everybody this heart, I'm going to give everybody my time. No, absolutely not. Because A healed empath is pouring into their environment, their career path, their schooling. They're loving everything. They're loving deeply what they're doing. They're pouring into what they're doing. They're not exuding that energy just to please someone else, and they really have nothing to give. They're pouring into themselves. They're not spending hours and hours on the phone with someone that they gave this beautiful advice to last week. They're not doing that. They're not. They're trying to align with their path and their creativity. They're trying to bring that beautiful empathic energy into the world, not keep it stagnant and stuck and always a sad story. So I hope that this message was clear for you guys. I hope that I'm not rambling on to where you're not understanding what I'm saying or trying to convey. Those that get it and feel it will get it. I ask God to align my audience and the people that are going to support my channel in the future one day with those that need the message and need to truly hear it and change your perspective. Even if it's one or two things that you take from the video and you don't want to take anything else. But remember, my videos are in love, in truth, and from who I praise, the Most High God, creator of all, Mother and Father. So this is divine. So if you're here listening, you made it to the end, this is divine. This is for you. This is for you. Remember, I'm healing too. I'm going through it too. So thank you so much, guys, for those that made it to the end. I'm very grateful for you to be listening to little old me, okay? Which is big mama, because I'm big me, but you know what I mean. I'm little old me because you don't know me. I'm the healing empath, and I'm healing just like you. So hit that subscribe button, share the video with those that need it, not just with anybody that you're trying to force to see it, because that's another thing. I don't share this content to people on my timeline, or only with certain people that I can have this type of conversation with. But I'm not just going to share it and tell people to listen to my video. This is selective content. This is very selective, and I pray it goes to those that actually need it. This is not a channel that I'm trying to force down everybody's throat. So if you're listening to my messages, this is not for you to try to give to that narcissist or that sociopath that you know, or that mother that you know that may need to, that you think needs to hear it, but she's not really going to absorb it. This is not for that. This is for you and anyone else that you're able to have this type of communication with. That's how you know who to share your things with. Okay, we can't force anyone to be on the timeline that we're on. We can't force anyone to go get healing. The only thing we could do is be accountable for ourselves. And then if you have children, to be accountable to raise healthy empaths. Okay, my darling, my beautiful souls, thank you again for tuning in. I will catch you on the next video. Please don't forget to comment if you have anything to say. I am ready to listen. And I hope you have a beautiful day or night whenever you tuned into this video. And until next time, ciao.